All right, so let's talk about a couple more Oscar-nominated films, right? Or at least I will talk about. Sorry, we will talk about one, and you will talk about one that unfortunately they get a chance to see, right?
Right.
That one, which you'll kick things off with, is called Blue Moon, right? This is one of two films that our boy Richard Linklater,
Right.
put out last year, right? We both saw, Nouvelle Vogue. I put you onto that.
Right.
Thoroughly enjoyed that show. But yeah, I was
Right.
hearing about Blue Moon. I was hearing about how great it was. Even Martin from, Double Toasted actually put that in his top 10. And funny enough, he also put Marty Supreme, which we'll talk about next, in his top 10 as well, right? So because he
Right.
put Blue Moon in his top 10, I wanted to see it, but I just did not get a chance. So yeah, Ricardo, take it away. Blue Moon.
Right. So Blue Moon is about this fellow, we call him Ethan Hunt playing, what we call it, like a character called
Ethan Hawke, not to be
Ethan Hawke,
confused with,
Ethan Hawke, or whatever. I can't, Mission Impossible. Sorry about that. Yeah. No, yeah, Ethan Hawke, who's really good in this. He's playing Lawrence Hart, and what it is, it's from the night opening night from Oklahoma. So much like how we have classic film, this is Linklater paying homage to classic theater, right? Rogers and Hammerstein, and what it is, it's that it's him going and navigating through a bar. On the night of like Oklahoma and in relevance to the scene around Rogers and Hammerstein, and this is basically a borderline like bottle film, and how it works is that it's just him navigating the space, talking to people, and it's very like how they love Casablanca and how they love Thing, and talk about the greatest hit of Blue Moon, and it plays with that whole conceit of we get I think I forget who playing Hammerstein, Delaney I think, and they have basically it's based off of the biopic of Lawrence Hart that Linklater playing off of, and that is why it's working. Macaulay in this, she's good. It's just it really focuses on Hawk. It's all Hawk show. Uh, is Hawk nominated for this? He should be, right? Because he's really fucking good in this. Let me check. Is Ethan Hawke nominated for
If
Best Actor?
if I'm not mistaken, I think he is. Well, you
Yes,
you check for a minute. God, I do have
that's
my
all. Ethan
browser.
Hawke nominated. Yeah, I think he is. That's all. Best nomination. Yeah, yeah, he nominated for Blue Moon. Right. Um, yeah, he's really good in this. He holds the entire thing. I could see him winning it. Quite possible, even though he's not like everybody talking about Marty Supreme, blah 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 blah. Nah, he could get something for this. Because it's entirely centered on him. He it's reasonably it's well done. Again, sets great. It looking good. Um, it's him. It's all him. I forget who played the bartender. Oh gosh, he named him Bobby Carnival. He's good in this. I like got chilly face. Like, oh, okay, he's good in this. And yeah, it's just him like declaring himself into the world of playing with the party. And why it works so well is that it's just a simple like character piece of just bouncing off each other. Good dialogue, great, shot really well, and yeah, this is a hit in my humble opinion, and it really works. It's just them, acknowledging just the art forms. It's one of those meta pieces of somebody on the side who you don't really know historically because we all know Hot Rogers and Hammerstein, but we don't know this guy as much, right? You got to be in on the in to know. And yeah, he plays. He's one of the great guys. So it's his time, and it's just them talking each other and just talking about ultimately Rogers and Hammerstein goes on to become Rogers and Hammerstein, right? The great great Broadway partnership, and it's just that early career in a band knowing each other until the career blow up, kind of thing before, and it works. It's really good stuff. As I say, Mark Colley, she's really good in the show apart. They talk about musicals. It's just a big love letter to the theater, and yeah, this is really really solid stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I would have I just this completely missed my radar um since last year. I heard about it and it's only because again I saw it in talking about it like, oh yeah, right, he made another movie, and I didn't, yeah, because I was only know about Nouvelle Vogue. I saw this instead. I was like, it's a damn shame I didn't see it last year, but this is really good, excellent stuff. Rated, I give it like a probably like a 8 out of 10, closest to 9, just how well made everything is. I strongly recommend this. Pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if Victor Hawk win because yeah, he's also one of those actors who kind of knock in for a while too, right? So not surprised if he would. Yeah, won't surprise if he win because I was like wondering if you couldn't check if he was nominated. But yeah, you'll probably win. Yeah, this is good stuff.
All right, well, no, no, as to say that, no, no warning if the will treat it as a upset if he wins, right? Because compared to everything
I don't
else,
know.
I think that
Like, like,
that show is like I don't want to say the sleeper in the
yeah,
category. You know what I mean?
yeah, but it's one of those. It's one of those. Once you see it, you could see it thinging. But I could see because they're not talking about it. Everybody talking about Marty Supreme. But the thing is, because of last night BAFTA awards, yeah, I'm thinking, hey, Marty Supreme might not get through because Marty Supreme get almost complete shutout. I think a complete shutout from yesterday. At the time it's recording. So like, shit, that real though. So I don't really know, but yeah, I think Ethan Hawke is one of those guys who could totally get it. I wouldn't be surprised if we get it for this. This is pretty good, pretty damn good. He never won a Best Actor. He always had supporting. I think he got smaller roles for remember First Reform. He was really good in that.
Oh
Um,
yes, yes, yes. I
Stuff
remember
like
that film. Hmm.
right, yeah. But he's a priest. That was pretty good. So that's the last time he was like a good lead, and I was like, yeah, you forget how great Ethan Hawke is. Uh, but yeah, I think he could get it for this. He's really good in this, and he's guys it's him. It's all him in this. Nobody else is really outshined him or anything like that. I think he just completely holds the thing, and I forget how great he is in this. So that's about it. Not else much to talk about other than well, you have to like know the inside baseball of theater, and I largely unfamiliar with most of that. I was like, oh yeah, right, I have a passive familiarity with some of what they're talking about or what is being referenced here. Unlike Nouveau Vague, where I know the actual hard film history and I could make a working comparison in my head while the film was going on. This not so much because I'm not super familiar with theater enough to appreciate it as much as I could have. I'll give it a second watch and do some research. Somebody could tell me, somebody on TikTok or whatever will tell me, oh well, this, da, 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 da. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, right, okay, cool. But that's about it. Yeah, but it's really solid out, and yeah, I do recommend it though.
All right, nice, nice, nice. And if he does win, I will genuinely be happy, yeah, because yeah, he's been in the game for like what years now, and I feel like
Yeah,
he deserves his flowers by now, right? But yeah, speaking of Marty Supreme, right? Yes, let's finally talk
hmm
about the film. Finally saw it.
sure,
I watched it this morning time of us recording this, right? So I will not stay long in terms of the synopsis because I mean everybody and the grandmother talk about the show, right? But yeah, in a
yeah,
nutshell, this is set in 1952 and
yeah,
we introduce the character of Marty Mauser, who starts off as a shoe salesman, but he's a very, very talented, very, very skilled table tennis, player, right? And yeah, he has dreams of making it big, becoming like the big American representative in table tennis when it comes to worldwide competition. And yeah, through a lot of trials and a lot of errors, he actually makes it, to one of the big tournaments, right? But something happens and he loses, right? And he feels really let down by that, right? But it's established early on that yeah, homie has a very, very, very overinflated ego. He's pretty much a narcissistic asshole though, right? And the show does not pull any punches in terms of showing you just how much of an
right,
asshole he is, right? But yeah, from that point, off of that loss at that tournament, right? He finds himself back home, and now he's struggling to get money to go to Japan to pretty much play against that guy because it was a
right,
Japanese guy who beat him, right? I love how the film also sets up the the socio-political history behind why that victory was a
right.
big deal, for a country
Right
like Japan,
after,
right?
right after World War II, right?
Yeah, exactly. And slight spoiler, it involves a newsreel, and I thought how they pulled that off was
Right,
brilliant.
yeah.
You could tell like they use an actual newsreel, but they just intersplice images from the film itself, right? The black and white.
Mhm.
Thought that was really cool, right? And yeah, from there, you just see Marty go through ordeal after ordeal.
Right,
He lies, he cheats, he steals, he schemes, he plots his way through one situation after another, and he pretty much ropes all of his friends and all of his loved ones involved too, right?
right,
And what
yeah,
we get is just a series of misadventures where, and just to jump into the review here, right? Yeah, on the one hand, you just don't like this guy, right? You really don't like this
right.
guy. You really don't like how he ropes his friends and family into his bullshit and pretty much forces them to do whatever it is he says. But one thing I really love about this show too, and yes, the obvious comparison is, Uncut Gems, right? Obvious reference, right?
Right.
Because it's from the Safdie brothers, right?
That was my first reaction is that I like this better when it was Uncle James.
Nah, but
Yeah,
it's just the chaotic ride
right.
that this movie takes us on, right? Yes, it is a tad bit long, right? This is 2.5 hours. You easy could shave off like a 10-15, right? But I have to say this, like I can't believe I say this, right? But Timothy Chalamet, who in my opinion gives the best performance I've ever seen from him, actually holds this show down, Joe. Like as much as you despise
Yeah,
this guy, you just want to see what happens. You want to see if he gets his comeuppance. And you also want to see if he actually makes it, with his dream, right?
yeah.
But
It's
the
one of
dream
those. It's one of those.
is very
Yeah,
palatable. Like you want him to win it, but at the same time, it's like, all right, you're going
yeah.
through
They
all
nail.
this to do it. You serious?
Yeah, no, yeah. They nailed the whole American dream slash nightmare thing. Like, what does it take to be the kind of person to rise up because he's despicable, but you're still rooting for him, kind of. And they play it as a point of view character thing, and they make it so they don't make him as particularly like odious as Howard from Uncut Gems was, but it's because he's so up and coming and young, and it's one of another thing too is the timing. Like he's not the greatest generation. It's the generation after World War II. Is that so? He's not a soldier, or like how are we gonna, how are you gonna get a stamp of greatness? I was like, well, yeah, ping pong. Right? It's that. It's one of these to watch him. I forget the old statement. There's an old saying. Something like the reason why the fight is so vicious is because the stakes are so low. Like this tiny little thing, this little carve of history you want to get up,
Yeah, yeah.
and he is the most ridiculous person to fight for it. Yeah, he died on the hill, as they say, right? As they say, he will willing to die on the molehill. It's one of those, right? It really works. Again, Charlemagne holds it. It's him. It's all him, right? I mean, I like Tyler the Creator, but he don't take off thing. They make all the little small things. Everybody's kind of getting mad off of was it the fellow from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful? I forget his name. Kevin O'Leary.
Oh yeah, yeah. Kevin O'Leary, yeah, who I
Yeah,
didn't
but
even know was in the movie,
right,
to be honest.
yeah, but he was good in this. I thought he was
Yeah, yeah,
okay. He
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
that bad.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you buy into him being this very
right,
angered millionaire. I'm not gonna say why, but yeah, he is push the
right,
points. He's pushing the edge though, basically because
right.
of Marty's bullshit.
Right. And they make it work. Yeah, as I said, Tyler good in this. I like her. I forget the girl's name. Was she?
Or the girl who plays sorry, Rachel, what the character's name?
Right,
Yeah,
right. So no,
like
it have
I
two male.
feel
It have two male characters. It have Gwyneth Paltrow, which I like her position in this narrative, and it makes sense. Like,
yes.
hey, how somebody loser like Marty could get her, but like, okay, when they explain her character and her insecurities, like, okay, that worked
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Um,
that makes sense. But the other girl,
right,
I know I've seen her in another show, but I can't remember.
right,
Like the
right.
yeah, I'm not familiar with the work that much, right? But yeah, both characters were good. I will say though, that Rachel character does some incredibly dumb shit as well. But the thing is, she
Right,
has bigger stakes involved, right? Not gonna say what it is, right?
right, right.
But yeah, she
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
some very, very, very dumb calls, and there's a moment where even Marty calls out on it and he says something to her though, which is just so irredeemable. But at the same time, it's like
yeah.
I can understand why you would believe
Yeah.
that, but dog, fuck you for saying
And then
that.
I think ultimately, and then all things considered, the person the person who I should say, well, I don't probably call it a person. The one creature that I feel the most sorry for is the dog. Like, what the fuck, Chad? Kind
Yeah,
of
boy.
I kind of pissed
There's
me
a
off a little.
dog in the film. That's all you're seeing. There's
Yeah,
a dog, and what happens to that
I-
dog is like what?
yeah. That kind of pissed me off a little bit. But it's
Yeah,
whatever.
but
Um,
but yeah,
I,
it's all these absurd scenarios that take place, right?
yeah. They make it work. They make it
Yeah.
work as a kind of strange, comedy of errors, right? Like
Yes.
they make it work in that sense, and it's just the energy. That is why this work, right? Much like with
Yes.
Uncut Gems, yeah, the energy. Just see it, just this kind of claustrophobic. Everything tight, everything fast, everything kind of like for some reason sweaty, right? Everything is just sweaty, and they pull in the space. They pull in the space to make it work. As I said, I made a joke that I do ultimately prefer Uncut Gems, right? Uncut Gems is really, really, really similar, but yeah, this is up there. This is really them pushing itself up, with all of this, and it.
Josh basically, right? Because yeah,
Josh,
you
yeah,
have to
right. Well,
remember
Josh,
that
right. So I heard,
that
right.
Benny did
And the other one
yeah,
did
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Smash the Machine,
Benny did Smash Machine, which we talked about
right.
earlier. Yeah.
But I'll say right. So I heard some behind the scene drama with involving something with a underage girl. I know what's going on with that. I haven't followed the story too much. It's not a great look for them. So like all these little small bullshit things kind of hurt them, during the award season. But yeah, I saw it was interesting how the BAFTA awards. I seen the BAFTA awards last night. I get the time it's recording. Oh yeah, they didn't get anything. Yeah, it was 0 to 11. nomination. So like, wow, that's kind of rough. So I don't know how that going to shape, what's going to go on in the Oscars, if it's going to be the opposite or whatever it is with respect to that. But yeah, this was I liked it. I can't say I loved it, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. Again, great energy. Not, but it probably would make my top 10 for the year. But again, I think because it reminded me of Uncut Gem so much, it didn't blow me away as well as it could. But if I did see this without Uncut Gems, I'd probably love this a lot more. So it's one of those, right? Yeah, I dug it. I liked it a lot actually.
Yeah, totally agree with you, right? Yes, Uncut Gems is a better movie. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, that movie just really put the Safdie brothers on the map, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, this one, I don't want to say it takes the same formula, even though it's similar, but it does different things with it as well, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a thoroughly entertaining film. I didn't expect to be so engrossed and so entertained over the 150-minute runtime, right? I already mentioned Timothy Chalamet's excellent performance. It's cool seeing Tyler, the creator, in it as well too. The moments with him was real cool. Like he gets to
right.
be on a little side quest as well, and where it was just all sort of insane, right? Or just how all these characters are worked into the story that worked for me, right? Now, I would understand the criticism that, oh man, this is not a table tennis movie. This is not a
No,
sports
no,
movie. Like,
no.
and I would admit, I went in expecting more. I was expecting like an
Me
even
too.
balance of sports and drama.
Well, yeah, I think it's based on a real guy, right?
It,
So
it
I
is,
thought we would
but
have
but
got
I
that.
would not be surprised if a majority of the stuff that happened here did not happen.
Well, but I think because if I remember, Howard and Uncut Gems was based on their uncle, I think,
Okay,
in New York. It's like Lucy Lucy. They just take that and ramp that up a little more now. But
right,
it's not
right,
it's
right.
not like it's not super far from the truth in that sense. Like just a exaggeration.
Hmm.
But it right there now. So it's the same thing. Like, but I don't know. Is again, I don't know the history and like, okay, who's this guy? Who it based on? How that situation was. But why it worked, I think for me, and this is what the interesting dynamic of it is that the time period, right?
Yes, yes,
That time
yes. I
period
was,
is
I
a
was gonna bring that
weird.
up.
Yeah, that time period is a weird time period because it's not World War II. So
No,
it's not it's like he was not a soldier. He didn't go into the Korean War. He didn't have to. He wasn't drafted then, as far as I know. Or at least he couldn't have been. And then it's not the 60s. So
no.
it's that weird period of peacetime, but yet for some reason you have all of this anxiety of glory, and that's why it works, right? For the most part. So that's what had me thinking, okay, this is interesting in that sense though. And it's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um yeah, solid stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of that time period, what I thought was really interesting, right, is the use of music, right? Because in
Right.
addition to the score, which was done by I forget any guy's name, but he did the score for Uncut Gems, right? For from what I know.
But
Yeah.
it's not okay, it's slipping my mind. Not one of Tricks Point Never. I wanna say is that
Yes.
person.
Yes. 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 That's him.
Okay, it's
That's
him,
him.
right. Yeah. I wanna say is that. I forget his real name, but
Yeah.
that's what I know him as that.
I think it's Daniel Topkin. I think it's Topkin is his
Okay,
name,
okay.
right? I think, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What really caught me by surprise was the use of 80s music, right? That's not to say, however, that there isn't 50s music, right? But it's like very sparse. It pretty much shows up in the second third of the film, at least from what I remember. But yeah, it's just a majority of the needle drops are 80s Billboard hits, right? Which is really interesting too. Very very artsy in a way, very bold, right? A very bold choice by Josh, right? But yeah, again, I can understand the criticism that, oh, this is not a sports film and blah blah. Also, I know people will be turned off by Marty's character, and
Right.
yeah, just how he manipulates people to do what it is he
Yeah.
wants, and
Yeah.
he just bullshits and bullshits and bullshits his way towards what
Yeah.
he thinks he wants, right? And it just falls flat, right? But it's just all the consequences and just how it all is literally like a domino effect of consequences, right?
Right. Right.
Action, reaction, cause effect, the consequence after consequence, right? And it's just so fascinating to watch too. Yes, it goes into very wild and insane and over the top, directions. But I think it works too. I think it works. Like it's not playing too much into realism, right? Even though yes, you do buy into pretty much everything that goes on, right? But you can just understand a guy like him. And to me, this is like the heart of the show, is the drive that he has, and how someone as narcissistic as him could twist and contort that dream, could twist and contort that drive, right? Because yeah, we all should work towards being better or achieving our dreams, right? but not at the expense of our loved ones, man. Not at the expense of
Right.
people who try to do the same thing as you, right? And may not have the opportunities that you have, right? So I think to me, that is the heart and the message of the show, right? But yeah, I mean, this is very well directed, I should mention too. Josh is nominated for Best Director, even though I
Right.
honestly don't think he'll win. If
Right.
Timothy wins Best Actor, I won't be overly happy, but I'll be like, all right, cool, cool, cool. Because, last year he did the Bob Dylan biopic, which
Right.
was,
Right.
all right,
Right.
it was cool. But yeah, to me, Timothy really knocked out the park here, right? Well, you all know who I'm rooted for as far as Best Actor goes. But,
Right.
I seeing this as a wrap up here is that I do hope that, I should say not hope. I'll rephrase it. Even if Marty Supreme does not win anything at the upcoming Oscars, yeah, I don't think that this is a show that people will forget, right? And lastly, because Uncut Gems is also in the Criteria Collection, yeah, would I be surprised if Marty Supreme makes it there one day, right? So
Right.
I
Right.
guess you'll see it soon enough, right? But yeah, this wouldn't have been in my top 10, but this would have been in my 11 to 15 bracket, right? Because yeah, this is, even though I see this in 2026, yeah, one of the best films to come out in 2025, right? So for that, I'm gonna give this a strong 4 to a very light 4.5 out of 5. It's absolutely worth watching. Yes, the character is detestable. I know it is not a sports drama in the traditional sense, but it is still a very engrossing, very entertaining, and very wild and unpredictable drama, boy, that just had me roped in from start to end, man. And I always say the music, helped things as well, especially with the use
Right.
of music. Yeah, it really like ropes you in, right? Even though when it starts off, it's kind of off putting at first. It's like, wait, what? Like, why are we
Yeah.
doing this, right? But while the show goes along, it absolutely works, right? So yeah, at the end of the day, this is an adrenaline rush of a movie about a table tennis player, right? I mean,
Right.
that's really what it is, right? But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Yeah, Ricardo, your final thoughts if you want to repeat your rating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw this a while back. So it most of it not remembered, but it didn't impact me as much as I felt it could. And I'll just straight up say this. Yeah, I'll just reiterate. Yeah, it's because it's so similar to Uncut Gems. So it was like, all right, Uncut Gems already kind of burned into my brain, and for it to do it a second time, it didn't really hit that second time in that way. I think with the case of Uncut Gems, because of what happens at the end of that, as opposed to this. Um, that was the payoff that worked in that sense, right? The ending of Uncut Gems is still one of my favorite endings in a hot minute, like probably ever, right? In a while. So it for this it was like, all right, they wanted to just flip the conceit and say, oh no, these people are rewarded, not da, 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 and so on and so forth. So that's why this didn't hit as well as I felt it could. But yeah, it still is a really really good outing, still really well made. Look, the Safdies are very good at their craft. I can't deny that. And so from a direction standpoint, it really really works. Writing solid, but again, I'm not, because it didn't impact my work as well as Uncut Gems did. And where Uncut Gems was framed and framed itself and structured. Uh, it had me more ingratiated, and it sold me a lot better than this ever did. But this is still really good. And ratings, I'll still give this a very high score, a very high 8, low 9, very very high 8 or around there. I appreciate what it didn't pack me as well as well as it could have, but I appreciate it for its craft and put together. Yeah, Safdie does deserve the best nomination, nomination for best director. It works. It really really works.